Hello.
Hi. How are you all doing? Welcome back to a new episode of Preach It Sis. Really glad to be here with y'all today. And we have a special guest because it's a special time. Special... Yep. Is it a special month, special season?
Yep.
Yeah.
Check.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we're actually properly even celebrating Mother's Day on the pod because we have a mother, our resident mother.
Thank you, please. We also got a mother.
Yes, we building. Have. Let's do so today you are joined by myself, Abisoye,
Roslyn,
Ken, and
Bruce. Guys, Ruth was not here for this nail at all, but she did it for the team. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. How does it feel now it's been done? Yeah? Listen,
that was amazing.
Do you know what? We're so used to it that we don't even see how cringe it is. But cringe is beautiful.
Cringe is
good. I love it. Cringe is good, you know?
Yeah,
it's just freeing.
Yeah.
I love it. But yes, this is officially our Mother's Day episode, and we wanted to bring in Ruth because, I've got a personal connection with you, but outside of family, you are an amazing well-being, life expert, coach. I say expert because you're really bossing it. And amazing public speaker, amazing storyteller, and you are a wife and a mother of two. You did 2 under 2.
2 under 2.
Wow. And I've just seen how you've just been building yourself, your brand. And for this Mother's Day episode, especially we have Roslyn is another boss babe, and we were like, let's just speak to them. You know, you're all on different journeys. I'd really love to learn more about your journey and just encourage other mothers. And even just us as well, even the ones that are not mothers, just that have more free time. Like, how can we be managing ourselves a bit better? That was for real.
Those days, Sha.
The sleepless, I don't want to say sleepless nights, it's the early mornings and the late evenings, even alone. It's a lot. So I think I don't want to assume, because I know Ruth is my cousin, by the way. Yeah. As you can see, I said I'm going to sit next to you. But I don't want to assume people know your story. Then you may have come across her on TikTok, on Instagram, but please, let's start with just getting to know you a bit better. So if you were on a panel discussion and they were to ask you, who is Ruth?
Gosh.
What would you say?
I feel like this is always the hardest question when people are like, who are you? I don't know, I'm still figuring it out. I am Ruth. I'm a self-development and wellness coach. I specialise in introducing people to the introspective side of wellness. So that's the stuff beyond Pinterest and Instagram, beyond yoga mats and matcha, but actually doing the deeper work. So that is building your resilience, building your confidence, gaining a level of emotional maturity and intelligence, and just coaching you through the holistic journey to well-being and wellness, which I think we should all be going on, because life is a consistent and continuous journey to self, and it should be a progressive journey, not a perfect journey. So that is what I do. That's what I've been doing over the last few years now, and I'm really grateful to do, because I think I've been on my own personal journey as well. So like Abisoye said, I am a mum of 2 little boys, and they are, well, the youngest one is 7 months, so he's still fine. The 2-year-old is the one that we're watching.
I don't like saying the terrible 2s because I feel like that's not positive affirmation.
No,
but I've heard the 2-year
Let me tell you
period.
something. It's not terrible. It's just hold on to God.
Tumultuous.
Like, do you know what it is? I won't let him know, but I'm really enjoying it because I'm enjoying seeing this little human just be nuts. Like, he is so freely nutty, and it's like every day is another day of how many ways can I just off myself with Nathaniel? Like, he could jump off a bed, he could jump off the sofa, he can just run straight into a wall. Like, he's he's really lovely though.
He's so sweet.
He is, and he is such an amazing big brother. But I'm really, really grateful to have. It's a blessing to go through. To be able to experience having children, and I genuinely think the day Nathaniel was born, a new version of me was born, and I was reintroduced to myself. And I'm really, really grateful for that, because I really like this version of me. And it's so funny because you're speaking about the past in the car on the way here, and I just really wish that version of me could see this version of me. So a lot of the stuff that I do now, in encouraging people to be their best self and uplifting people, a lot of it a 2-year-old did for me. So yeah, that's who I am.
Bro, you're gonna make me cry.
Oh no, don't cry.
That's okay.
That's
so beautiful.
so special.
Thanks.
So you would say, so when did this whole like wellness and when did that become so important to you, and then to advocate that to other people? Like, tell us about your journey a bit more. Like, when did it start for you?
So I would say my journey to understanding wellness, well-being really started, I think it's always been there. And that's the thing I think about purpose. It's always been there. It's just not yet ignited. And I think Nathaniel was my spark. But I think I'm just someone who enjoys championing the people around me. I enjoy understanding people, understanding the nature of people, and just trying to see solutions as opposed to problems. And I think for myself personally, so my background is as a financial consultant. I think my journey has always been one of trying to earn other people's validation. So if we just take it all the way back, my parents wanted me to become a doctor, so I was on that line for a really long time.
Proper Nigerian,
like
mate.
They wanted me to become like, when I look at me now,
You could have done it.
Me to be doing. Oh, does it hurt? Like, it's just. I'm so sorry. It was just never gonna happen. It just was not in my line. My parents wanted me to become a doctor, and I was on that line for a really long time, even though I knew inside that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. Academically, I was always fortunate, and I was always ahead, but this is not what I'm meant to be using my brain to be doing. I always knew that, and then. Obviously, as you do growing up, you meet people, you get into relationships, and they are consistently forcing you to tap into a version of yourself that the person has created for you to be. And I think I got to a point where I realized that I didn't know who Ruth was. I didn't know what I enjoyed. I didn't know what encouraged me. I knew what I was bringing, but I didn't know how to cultivate that amongst my community. And I think you're not walking in your full purpose until you are also impacting those closest to you. And I just didn't know how to. So I really took some time, especially during maternity leave with Nathaniel. I really took some time to try and understand myself, try and get to a version of myself that I enjoyed. And I was very also conscious of the fact that I was now bringing this little human into the world, and I really want Nathaniel to have an amazing mum. Nathaniel and Nicholas now to have an amazing mum, and they are also, sorry, just circle back. My husband, he's my world, right? And I also wanted him to have an amazing wife. I wanted him to have a wife that was self-assured, was that knew her value, that knew what she brought, someone who could really stand beside a strong man and also be a strong woman as well. And I know that I really wanted to create a home that was full of love and laughter and all things good. And I think I could only have done that by understanding who I was, understanding what I was called to be, understanding how I was called to serve in my home as well. So yeah, I would say that's, without being long-winded, that's where it kind of started.
It's not long-winded at all.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask both of you, actually, when you found out you were pregnant with your first, did that like kickstart the, I need to figure myself out, or that because you mentioned that was like, you're thinking about the little human that is coming, like did that just put you on overdrive, and if so, like what did it look like for both of you?
You go.
I will say As soon as I found out that I was gonna be pregnant, it was very much of I have to be the best version of myself for her and create the most loving, the most cultivating, just the best environment that you want a child. Because I think that even unconsciously, and so whatever that I can do to give her the tools to not let the other things that will come in her way in life affect her. That's what I wanted to do. So I don't know. I think for me, a lot of that has been making sure that any isms that I deal with, I did constant work at that. And then also on learning certain things that I feel like I've picked up over the years, but now I really have to do the work on like, I don't want to pass this on to my daughter. So yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm answering the question.
You are. And can I just say, I mean, you've changed, Rosalind. It's development, growth.
Yeah.
And I don't know if, I think it was even before before Naz. There was a shift in you, but there's like I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know how you went through it, but it's like you really looked at yourself.
Yeah.
It's like you were really honest with yourself.
Yeah.
And whatever it is that you were dealing with, like you just forced yourself to deal with it.
Yeah.
And the growth is better. So I just wondered when that was, whether it was.
I feel like it's been in stages. Like, I definitely worked on that when Kev and I were about to get married, because I was like, when sometimes you know someone for so long, it's like you meet as children. I mean, we weren't children, but you actually go through so many phases of your life. So I feel like I was very conscious of.
Sorry,
I can't do it. So I feel like I'm quite a very reflective person, and I always kind of like to look at things from the outside in to see, okay, how are we gonna up the levels? How are we gonna do this? And sometimes I feel like I do too much, and the both of you will be like, it's okay, like, relax, just be content with where you are now. But I think, so definitely when I got married, and also once Naz came, I think that was a massive shift in the sense of like all the work that I felt that I had done, and I was quite sure of who I was having to do that all over again, because like a lot of the things that I held on to was in like, this is really good for me, I'm very productive, and I'm very organized. Children they will throw your receipt out the window. But I feel like it's been very much allowing motherhood to kind of refine me in the sense of just being okay with things just not going my way. And I think that's how I'm navigating that, like having routines but also being flexible with what life there is at me. And I feel like I'm still learning that. I definitely wouldn't say I've navigated that yet. I feel like sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get it wrong. I don't know. Ruth has two, so she probably can give me some advice on like trying to be that person and figuring that out. But I feel like that's what the journey has looked like so far. So I guess I really love how you've identified that at the core of you, you've always cared about how you've impacted other people around you. And you've always cared about just being able to develop yourself, live a life of purpose, all that stuff. But I think what I'm curious about is, or I think what I found is that in each phases, because it's kind of like you have all these stakeholders that you're looking after. There's like a lot of work that you have to do to be able to kind of pour out into those people. And I love all that you said at the beginning, because I feel like it sounds like you took that time out to really do that work. So I wanted to ask you about, how has that transition from being a wife, so being a wife to a mum, now being a mum of not just one but two, how has that transition looked like? And could you share maybe, I don't know, some struggles that you've had, some challenges that you've had?
How's that transition look like? I'm looking at episode because literally episode's been there with me throughout everything.
As in, you were married, then the child came instantly.
I know. Even that.
Yeah, even that.
Like, we're still like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Like, we're blinking.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it's been non
back to
Plus,
back.
you have 2 on the 2.
Yeah,
Like,
it's been back to back.
and launched your whole
Business
throughout.
Yeah.
It's been back to
Like,
back. Do you know what? In all honesty, I've had the pleasure and the privilege of having very easy pregnancies. Like, as in, yeah, amen. I really do wish it on everyone. I think, don't get me wrong. I have. I've had very, like, our cousin Paris always says, like, I have a, like, I have babies like I'm going to the shop. Like, as in, we're back to it.
as in,
Straight back to it. But, like, it's funny.
I don't even.
It's-
There's no
it's-
one. I've not met anybody like you.
No, it's
Like,
not. But again, glory be to God, because I'm not unaware of the fact that this stuff takes people out. Do you understand? And I think there is a resilience that perhaps I've been able to tap into. And I'm quite a driven person, but I think that's what I mean. I think when I got pregnant, I almost had this realization of like, what the heck? Sorry, what do you mean? Okay, need to get to it. Because I think growing up, I've always had the version of the mother that I wanted to be in my head. And I think when I got pregnant, I don't think I was that version. So then when I got pregnant, I was like, oh my God, I now need to become that person. And I think I've always been someone who has the ability to multitask. I think I've always been someone who is organized to a certain extent. And I'm very direct on how I like things done. And because of that, which can be a positive and a negative, but because of that, I think I had the idea of the mother that I wanted to be in my head. And I have an amazing mum and I have an amazing community of women. And I think just when I got pregnant, I had the support around me to quickly become the version of me that I saw of what being a mum was. Transitioning from be Nana's girl to be Nana's wife to a mum,
Nathaniel's mum.
to be Nathaniel's assistant. I think it was fairly, I don't want to say it was easy because everyone likes a struggle, but it was easy. It was easy because I've always been maternal. I've grown up. I come from a really big family. There's always kids. There's always someone to look after. So there was never a moment of where I had to tap into something that I hadn't previously tapped into, if that makes sense. But I will say perhaps maybe the biggest challenge came in the dynamic between myself and my husband, because I think as a woman, when you're pregnant, your mind switches on straight away, as in, oh my God, there's a kid here. Whereas for them, because they are not physically experiencing it, it takes a while for them to catch up. And in all transparency, there was a lot of frustration there. And there were times where I was just like, we're having a baby. You need to wake up, you know? And he was just like, but babies. And I'm like, we're having a baby, because it's just such a transformative experience, because you go from living life as a singular-minded person to then you are now joined with someone and you now have to consider another person. But the benefit of that is they're an adult. So there is little things that you don't have to overly consider on their behalf. Like God forbid, if I decide to not cook today, my husband will go and find something to eat. Why? Because he's an adult and he can figure that out for himself. However, when you now have a child coming and this person that you have to be their A to Z, as in after God, it's you for them. It is such a mind blur, and it's such like I said, it's such a transformative experience to kind of get into that mindset of, oh my God. And it starts from even just being pregnant. The minute you get pregnant, there are certain things you can't eat. There are certain places you can't really go, you can't be exposed to. I remember my husband is in music, but there was a time where he called me. He was like, oh babe, let's go to I think he had a show, and he's like, oh, are you coming? And as a first time mum, you Google everything, isn't it? So I Googled it, and it said that it's not advised to be in places over a certain amount of decibels. And I remember I was just like to him,
That's true.
Sorry, can I just say, meanwhile, for her second baby, this girl had me at Olo What's his name?
Black.
Whatever, Black. At 9 months pregnant.
9 months.
She was
I was
about to
outside.
pop.
I was
wow.
outside.
Meanwhile, so the first one,
No,
you were
I
like,
was like,
the
Google
first
it.
one,
You literally Google everything.
The first one,
The
you
second
said
one,
Yeah.
that's why probably Nicholas is just like,
he just,
that baby's had to be strong from early. But
sorry, side note, because
no,
I'm just listening and I'm like, is it?
I know. With my first, I was literally Googling everything. And first thing I said to my husband when I found out I was pregnant was, oh my God, this means I can't eat sushi because I love
100%.
sushi, you know, and he was just like, you need to get your priorities right. But I love sushi and immediately you find out you're pregnant, so many things have to change. You have to really lock in from the jump. And I think that's why it takes them a while to understand that something is about to change. Because from you, especially if you want to do it properly, it starts from the minute that test comes back and it says it's positive. You know, you have to, if you don't have a GP or a hospital, you have to go and get one. You have to go register. Then you have to look at appointments. Then you have to start taking all these supplements that perhaps you wasn't taking before. And then you have to just be so aware and you have to be so conscious of everything from the jump. So I think for me, the biggest challenge was going from being a singular-minded person and just thinking about, okay, Ruth, to okay, now Ruth Nana's wife, but then he's also an adult, so that there isn't much change there, to now, oh my God, I now have to be consistently aware of somebody else. And I think that was quite I won't say it was challenging, because like I said, like I've grown up around kids, but I think for me as a human being, having a human being experience, it was like, whoa, I've never tapped into this before, where I've had to be so overly conscious of somebody else. And then also having the patience for my husband to catch up to that, you know? So I would definitely say that was the most kind of like transformative period of, okay, being his side piece, as in like we're going everywhere together. Not his side piece because being Nana's handbag. Being Nana's can you imagine? Being Nana's handbag, as in like if he's going on tour, I'm coming with you. To now, I'm like, I can't go. They said that at 7 months I can't get on a plane, you know, and just kind of going through that. That was something.
Yeah, I remember when you. What is it? Was you still pregnant when you were like, oh yeah, Naz is going to be coming to all these brunches with me? We've done one brunch.
We've done one.
Honestly,
but you enjoy it though.
no, I didn't.
This
I
was
did
like here.
enjoy it. Yeah.
And she was like, I can actually eat.
Take her.
But
Yeah, because I think you start to there's the expectation or that you look forward to doing something, but once they're here, it's like there's so many things that you have to do and so many things you have to consider, and it's like, you know, we'll do brunch another time, but yeah. So how so what about the shift then from
1 to 2?
Yeah.
Do you know what I think? And people have always said this before, that once you have the first is the hardest, but the second is like, okay, and then that's why people who have seconds usually have thirds and fourths and because because the first is the biggest no please don't get no ideas. We're done. The first is the biggest shift because that's like, okay, oh there's a person here. The second is like, okay, just fall in line, you know. And I would say they've both been, I think it's definitely harder to be pregnant with a toddler than it is to just be pregnant, or than it is to just have a toddler and a newborn, because when I was pregnant, Nathaniel still wanted to be carried, he still wanted to be held, he still wanted his mum, which in all fair dues to him, why wouldn't he? Why shouldn't he? I didn't tell you to go get pregnant. You're still my mum, you know? And he still wanted all of me. Bearing in mind, I was like heavy, he still wanted to be carried. There was just so much. So I think being pregnant with a toddler, but then now baby's here, and if he wants to be carried, I can put baby down and carry him. If he wants to play, okay, whilst baby's sleeping, I can go play with him, and I can tap into all these things, or I can be like, okay, dad, take baby, and then let me With Nathaniel, I think it's a lot. The shift from 1 to 2 has been easy in the sense of Nicholas just falls in line, as in, okay, and luckily they're not too far apart, where a lot of like Nathaniel's bits and stuff Nicholas is now using, and it's amazing to watch them grow together. Like, they're very aware that they're brothers. I genuinely think they're each other's favorite people. And it's such a lovely bond to have the privilege of witnessing. Like, it's the most beautiful thing. And my prayer is that they just never lose that. Like, yeah, it's nice. It's really nice. Yeah. So if you have any ideas, go for it.
Girl. Oh wow. She said if you have an idea, go for it.
Is that I don't know. With that, I definitely feel like, I don't know, it's different for everybody, because I feel like I'm only now getting clarity on who I am now. I feel like postpartum was very tricky for me, in the sense of just identity, like looking after myself. I feel like I had an idea of the mum I was going to be. I don't think that... I love that you shared that you naturally are quite maternal. I'm not the most maternal person. So I feel like it was a massive challenge. Shifting from that person that was very much like, I'm ambitious, it's my career, we're gonna make this money, we're gonna make that empire, everything falls after that. And I think, so I had to unlearn those things for my marriage, and then now it's like I'm unlearning certain things to be the best mum. And so I feel like now I want to have that moment to myself, and then we'll go again. All the aunties are like, are you ready? I was like, I think now that I'm seeing more of Rosalind now, we're gonna give her a year, and then we'll go again. But I wanted to maybe just ask a lot of questions that I have, or maybe mothers that feel like, okay, I've had the baby and I feel like I'm struggling. I'm struggling on finding myself. I'm struggling on, maybe I'm not the most maternal. And literally, I thank God for books, and I thank God for just information and people being transparent about their experiences, because sometimes you can feel a little bit like, oh, what am I doing? And and I've come to learn that wherever you're at is fine. Like,
100%.
we're all like motherhood is not a linear journey, and it looks so different to so many people. But I love your content because I feel like it's so empowering, and it allows you to sit down and really speak to your inner self, the little girl in you, and just say, we're gonna do this work. I know I can do this, but let's figure out how we're gonna do it. So what would you say to those mothers that feel like, okay, I'm a mum, I'm loving it, but I'm struggling. I'm struggling to find myself. I'm struggling to get back to who I was. What would you say to them?
I would say, I think if I just take it back to, there was something that you said about before you was really ambitious, and then obviously you now have to unlearn that with regards to, I think both things can absolutely coexist. I think I am an incredibly ambitious person, and I think I've become even more so since after having the baby. I think I did a live the other day, and I was just like, God forgive me, not God forgive me, but forgive me if you're like a mummy content person. I see people that overdo it, it just makes me cringe, because it's not your whole identity. Like, it cannot be your whole identity. You are in, this is a great office to sit in, but when you are someone with purpose and you're someone with drive, it's also very empowering, and it's also very impactful to be aware that this is not your only office, and you can be extremely useful in other areas as well. And I think I'm of the mindset that being a mother is just one of the gifts that God has given me. You know, when it says he gives you gifts and talents, like, this is just one of the gifts that he's given me. This is just one of the things that he's given me the privilege to uphold. But it's not my entire identity. Like, I was Ruth before I was Nathaniel, Nick's mum. And I think the understanding of that allows me to be the best mum for them, because one day they will grow up, and in the world they will not just appear as Ruth's and Nana's sons, they will appear as Nathaniel and Nicholas, and teaching them to have the understanding that you need to know who you are and the foundation of who you are, and be strong in that, not just your titles, is such an empowering thing. So I think both things can absolutely coexist. I think for the people that are struggling, I will always say I credit my journey to my community. We was literally speaking in the car that there is so much that I could not have done if it was not for the people that I have been blessed to call my family. So I think if you are someone that's struggling, it's imperative that you are open in your communication with the people around you. I've called Abby so a few times like, I just feel so, I don't know what I'm doing. And then there's other days and I'm like, can we hurry up and get to it, please? You know, and it's amazing, and it's wonderful to have that. You know, it's wonderful to have people that speak life into you. It's wonderful to have people that see your vision and they can pick you up when you're down. And it's wonderful to have people that will be like, okay, do you know what? You go and sleep today. I've got these kids and you go and rest. You know, just go and take some time to literally just renew yourself. I can look after them. And I know not everyone's blessed to have an intense or an amount, like a mass amount of people, but I think being able to open up and let the people that you do have around you know that this is what you need. And I think we live in such a day and age of where I have such a gripe with social media, but the wonderful thing about social media is it allows you to connect with so many people that you wouldn't otherwise have access to if you wasn't on social media. Yeah. And there are so many amazing platforms and groups online that if you were someone who lacked community, you could go and be like, okay, let me just happen. There's mum groups out there. And I know not everyone wants to be part of a mum group, but they exist. There are groups for people that are mums but don't want to just speak about babies all day. They exist, you know. So if you are someone who's lacking in community, things like that are there. And it's about you being open. It's about you communicating what your struggles are. It's about you also allowing people to meet you where you're at. And I think we always say like, oh, you know, you have to meet me where I'm at. But are you allowing people to meet you where you're at? Are you being open about where you are actually at so that I can meet you there? Are you being open to the help? So when people say, oh, if you need anything, let me know. You're like, oh, okay. And then you're just like, okay, let them know that you need to go and rest. Let them know that you want to sleep because you haven't slept for 2 nights because this baby's been crying. Let them, if they like it or not, let them come and sit down so that you can finish your sandwich. One of my friends, she always like makes it, oh, I haven't been able to finish a hot cup of tea for like a year. Why? Because the baby's crying. Give that child to somebody and go and finish your tea, you know? And I think we have such a, I think especially as a new mom, I had to deal with this where you feel like you have to be everything to that child. And if you are not meeting every single standard that you've set for yourself to that child, in some capacity you are failing, but that is not true. As a human being, you are not even built to be everything to everyone. You are not, like, you don't have everything that it takes within you, biologically, physically, spiritually, to be everything to a singular person. So how can you expect to be everything to that one child? You're even doing that child a disservice to think that. And I think that's where community comes in. That's where understanding what your capabilities are. That's what understanding, do you know what, I can't do this today. So what can I put in place to be able to help me do this? And I think there is so much guilt around not being able to fulfill 100% or the maximum. But I think once you understand that I actually can't, and I'm going to just do my best, everything that I can do, and leave the rest to everybody else, you'll have a progressive journey.
I really love that, because especially community, it's very interesting that, I think my voice is gone. I was screaming yesterday. Anyway, Monica 805, wonderful restaurant. Anyway, shameless plug. I mean, sorry, not even. Anyway, it was really beautiful because Rosalind asked about basically finding herself again, and you spoke about community, and I think that is so beautiful because it's the people around you as well that can remind you and let you know that it's okay, that, and it's like a shared experience as well. Like, we're all going through this thing as well. And it's like, we forget that this is not a linear journey and we're not alone in it. And it says even biblically that I keep saying this, there's nothing new under the sun. Like, we can share, but I don't know why I really love, one thing I love about Ruth is that she will ask you. And it's not about just a kid, just in general, like, you're very bold to just ask.
But also I think that's come with time, and I think that's come with the fact that the people that and this is what I mean, just don't go asking everybody, because they would people will disappoint you. And I think once something's happened a few times and it becomes a pattern, then you naturally build a response to it. I think once if you place yourself in a position where you're asking people and they keep saying no, often you'll think, okay, they're rejecting me, and then you'll stop asking. I think it's important to build a community of people that you trust and people that trust you. And I think wisdom is a huge part of that. So to you, I'm bold to ask, but it's because I trust you, and it's because you have proven yourself over time to be somebody who is in my corner. There are some people that will tell you, oh, Ruth never asked. Why? Because I don't trust you, and I'm not coming to ask you for nothing. So I think it's important to pour into, and this is also why I want to be to you what you are to me. So if I'm not going to keep coming to you if I don't make myself available for you to keep coming to me. I think building relationships and building community, it's almost like a psychedelic relationship. Like, I'm pouring into you as you're pouring into me. I'm pouring into you as you're pouring into me. So be what you want to receive. And I think I've built a community of people that I really, really trust. And a lot of them is my family members, because where are you going? We are blood, I will find you. You know, but even in the friends that I've been able to build that relationship with, it's because over time I've tested and you've proved yourself to me as I have been for you. And sometimes I think we want things from people that we're not willing to be to other people as well. And sometimes that's where the can come in. And I think it's important to have a hard conversation with yourself and be like, okay, well, if this is what I want from this person, am I making myself available for them as well? So yeah, it's important, especially when you are talking about community, to be what you want to be and to pour into the people that are worth pouring into, and you will see the benefit of it.
Thank you. I just realised naturally I
just touched on my
could
part.
you take
fine.
Thank you.
Yeah,
But
it's
that
fine.
was
That's fine.
Did you touch on Kenya?
I didn't mean to.
She did. She touched
This
on
is
my
what
point.
Monica does. You've gone to go and enjoy too far.
I did. That was
The restaurant, it's such a good restaurant.
It's
Really good.
they were
You should
playing
try
all the
it.
jams at my voice. You
I
can
can
hear
hear.
gone.
I can hear.
It was better
before.
I think it's setting in. You know, like when you do a
Oh,
workout
Yeah,
the night
yeah,
the
yeah.
day
And it
before.
hits you.
Was what you did yesterday
Yeah.
workout?
Yeah.
Depends on who you ask.
I actually had a question for you both, and it was because you're both married women, and obviously now you're mothers as well. And you were talking about, you know, surrounding people around you, helping you with the transition into motherhood. But I wanted to know, like, the husbands, because it's a really strange place for them to be in a little bit, where you're, like you said beforehand, like you have that instant, you know, I'm going to be a mother, I'm going to change. Daddies also need to change as well. They also need to do a bit of work within themselves as well. And like, how was that transition for them? And how did that then support you? Did you see a shift in them as well as individuals? And how did that affect you in your journey into motherhood and your transition? Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
It's very big.
You're gonna have to take this off as I can't.
Please.
No,
I'm not trying to
I'm
get
trying
into
to,
nitty gritties, but it's just
trying to
My
think.
stomach, I told you.
Yeah, I would answer it.
Damn.
So it's my stomach.
Okay, all right, no, it's okay. I feel like I definitely do agree with what Ruth was saying, in the sense of, like, for us the effect is very immediate, whereas for them it takes time. And I think also, well, personally for my husband, it was playing two parts. So if, like, I'm gonna be a father, but also I need to support my wife. And I think definitely it was always like, I feel like you can do this, what's going on? And so I can definitely relate to that sense of frustration where it's like their reaction is very delayed to what's happening. But I feel like the transition for him definitely was when our daughter was there. When it's like we actually see this physical human being and they have changed my world, and I need to be this person for them. I think that's when I saw that shift. And because he I feel like he, in theory, he had an idea of, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, but when the child is there, you just have to step up to it. And yeah, I think for me it's been amazing seeing him how he is with our daughter, because my husband is quite, like, laid back, and it's like very much like all about his family. But I think it's been very amazing to just see how it's like he can be so soft and, like, a bit hard, but then it's like this, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm gonna do everything I can to figure this out. And I think what has really helped him is definitely his community of, like, just great men that he can go to and also holds himself accountable to kind of help him just navigate that. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like I kind of struggle to put it into words.
yeah.
But so far he's been good, and he's very much open to saying, okay, like, I think for me it's definitely it's nice seeing him in the light of like taking the reins of like the planning, and the he would be like, oh, we're not going to do this because it's not good for Naz, or we're traveling and I've done all this research, and he knows this is good for the, you know, for her and things like that. And before, those roles were kind of swapped. So it's nice that I can kind of take a back seat with those things and seeing him act on those things. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say Nana he's their dad, but he's very much their big brother. Like, he is such a big kid. And I think it's been wonderful to watch the transition from him being, you know, just a guy to now he's like this dad. And I think it's something that he's thoroughly embraced. I think there are parts of it that perhaps it's taken time for him to get his head around, because naturally, again, back to the notion of I've had 9 months from the word go to get my head around it, whereas I totally agree with Rosalind. I think that really dawns upon them when that physical child is now here, and they're like, oh, there actually was a kid in there. Oh, this kid actually needs diaper changing to be fed to da. And I think they almost have to. It's quite unfortunate, because I think with them they almost have this realization all in one go, whereas we've had 9 months to prepare. So they now need to kick into gear really suddenly. And I think he has, you know, not speaking on his behalf, but I think he's done, as his partner, I think he's done a phenomenal job. And I think he's allowed himself to also be a student. So where he's had to learn, he's been willing to learn. And I think his heart is wonderful. I think he really wants to be a good dad. And that means that he's open to, okay, this is how I do this. Okay, babe, this one needs to be fed. What milk are we using for him, and X, Y, Z. And I think that's also wonderful. But in the sense of also me being his wife, one thing that I'm really trying to put into practice is that, yes, we have kids, but really, first and foremost, even though our babies are small, my priority is to him as our head. Do you see what I mean? And I think I also want him, I always say, yes, I'm Nana's wife, but I also want to be his girlfriend. Like, I also still want to have fun with him. I also still understand, because men, I just see them as big kids. I also know that there is a level of emotional nurturing that he also needs. So as much as I'm like, yes, Nathaniel, come here, you need a cuddle. My husband still needs a cuddle when he's gone out all day and he's working and something isn't happening and he's frustrated. And I think being able to kind of ride that wave of, okay, I need to be this for these kids, but I also need to be this for him, is something that I'm learning every day. I won't say I'm perfect at it, but I think it's also something that is necessary to building or to cultivating the home that I wish to build. And I think that is one where my husband or my marriage isn't neglected, because we now have kids. So, and I do think the reward from that is a dad that is excited to be at home because he's still getting what he needs. Is a dad that is very much involved because he's not feeling like he's lacking anywhere. Is a dad that is excited to play because he doesn't feel like that these kids have come and taken his girl away from him, you know? So yeah, I hope that.
I absolutely love that, because I always vision myself as being a wife that's like, that's my man's. I'm gonna stand beside him. Like, even when these small people come along, it's me and daddy first. Because even then they're gonna grow up and leave us, and guess what, we're back at square one. It's me and you again.
It's me and you again.
It's us again.
So wonderful to see. I always say, my 2-year-old Nathaniel, when he's like, mommy, no, and then literally, like, you'll just see this shadow come from behind me, and Nana's like, your mum said go and put the toys away, and he's like, daddy, and I'm like, that's my man, and I'm sticking beside him. That's my man, you know. And it's wonderful to be like, yes, I'm your mum, but I'm that man's girl first, so you better put some respect on my name. You know. And also, as the man, there is so much that he is he's required to do for our household. He's the provider, he's the head of our household. So in order for him to continue to play that role, I need to give him space to do that. You know.
Absolutely love that. So then that leads on to my next part. prioritizing then. So of course, like you said, you're a wife, a mummy, and that's your man, you stick beside him, blah blah blah. But you have to make certain life choices when you become a mother. Certain things you have to drop. Some bigger choices, such as, do I continue to work full time, or do I become a stay-at-home mother? Like, you know, those are real battles that women really struggle with, those things, because they want to remain ambitious, but they want to make sure they're there for every moment in their child's lives. How do women go about navigating that? Like, what advice would you give? How did you guys do it? Yeah, what big choices did you guys have to make as mothers?
I think we have a weird or a warped perspective of balance. I think to some people, balancing means I'm having to juggle all these plates all at once. Balancing means your ability to prioritize. So sometimes I'm going to pick up 2 plates, and then I'm going to drop those plates, and then pick up the 3rd and the 4th plate, and then I'm going to drop those. So, and I think that there is a benefit of knowing that, okay, do you know what, for example, this is my family, but this month I might pour a lot into my family. But maybe next month, I don't have capacity for that. I just need to pour loads into my work, you know. And I think balance is such a thing. It's very individualistic. What may be balanced for Roslyn may not be balanced for me. But I think understanding what it is and prioritizing what you need to pour yourself into when is super vital. I think, again, life is in ebbs and flows. Right now, we have 2 small babies. They require a lot from us. So it could be that right now my priority is I am pouring a lot into these babies. So perhaps maybe 90% of my day is spent pouring into these babies, and then 10% is spent up at night sending the emails that I need to send with regards to my work. But a time will come where I won't need to do that 90% because they'll be a little bit more older and they can sleep through the night, and they'll be a little bit more independent. So I 50% into work and then 50% into them. And I think giving yourself the grace of understanding the time and the season that you're in. A lot of people don't give themselves the grace for that. This is the beautiful thing about kids is that this stage doesn't last forever. The next stage won't last forever. Then there'll be a stage after that. Even right now, my parents have never seen a 30-year-old Ruth. This is a new stage for them where she's married and she now has her own kids, you know, and they're now having to relearn me. And I think understanding that life is in ebbs and flows is so vital to being able to prioritize motherhood and the things that you wish to do outside. I also think back to even like community and what's that word? Delegating to people. So for example, we have our family, but we're hiring like a nanny who is going to be like super. I was going to say too. So I won't, no more late night calls. But you know, like who is, I think being able to put things in place to help you manage your life where you're at is super important if you are able to. And then if you're not, get yourself a good cousin who will show up at 8 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, I think being able to delegate and being able to having the mentality. Whenever I'm speaking to my coaching clients, a big thing that we're speaking about right now is reframing your mind and understanding that, especially with motherhood, it's not something that you have to do, it's something that you get to do. So many people do not get to do this. And honoring this office is such a privilege. And I think when you see things as from that mindset, they don't feel so overwhelming. Like, okay, this kid is not sleeping at night. But glory be to God, I get to nurture this baby and I get to soothe this baby back to bed. Yes, I'm tired. Yes, I'm exhausted, but I get to do this. And then after that, I'll use 10% of my energy to probably send, please, can you book me for this speaking engagement? You know, so yeah.
I just wanted to add to that and say, also, it's very important to. So I think maybe to go back to the point I was saying about being ambitious. So I wasn't saying not being ambitious. I was saying that sometimes you have to be okay with how certain things that you're used to looking a certain way now looking different. Yeah. So sometimes the choices that you have to make is not so much that you're losing the sense of who you are or the things that are important to you, but it is you're making capacity for one thing so that you can come back to it when you can do your best at it. And I think that's sort of what's helped me lately, where it's like, you know, I work part-time. I never thought I was going to do that. And even like with my career, like I very much thought I was going to be that mum where I have my baby, pop my baby, go back to work. She'll be the nursery, we'll do this, we'll do that. I didn't think that I will be this like, oh, she's walking, oh my God, I want to be
Shayla.
there, I want to take my Shayla, I want to take everything in. And so that's why I was saying that sometimes it's like I'm having to. I love the Roslyn that I've become because, like, for me to even think that was so easily doable was just ridiculous, and also just redefining what motherhood means for me. So I definitely agree with everything that Ruth has said, and I'll say that you have to figure out the kind of mum that you are and the mother that you're okay with being, because some mums they don't necessarily they will have to go to work. Some mums don't necessarily get the privilege of having to do part-time because it's like it just doesn't fit within the, you know, your family structure or whatever. Some mums don't have the community, the help that they want. Some of us, we've been so fortunate with that. Like me, I always tell the girls, I'm a last born, so I'm not a believer of suffering alone. So my girls, my family, they spoil me, and I'm just so grateful for that. And even that, sometimes it's like they're there, but I'm still trying to do Roslyn.
Yeah, you spoil us too.
I'll be project manager, everything,
Yeah.
and it's just like, as you said, like, why are you not drinking your tea? Rest, let other people do it, you know. And so I think you have to figure out the woman that you are, the things that are important to you, and make room for those things. And as Ruth said, sometimes just be okay with putting things in place and knowing that you're not going to be the person that's making that work. Be it, you know, you're getting a nanny, where I'm praying for that. Even like a cleaner, Abs and I spoke about it. Like we used to live in a flat, and I was like, why do I need a cleaner for this place? Like,
let me tell you something. A cleaner's been the best investment that I
best
think we could have ever
investment,
made.
girl.
Because that lady, whew,
I don't know what I can
She
do
is
without
my
my cleaner.
Shayla.
Honestly,
No, I don't have one at the
I
at
don't
the
know-
moment.
I don't
but
know why.
I used to.
Okay.
There's-
So,
So
we're,
I've
we're,
experienced-
we're the
I've
Cinderellas.
there's people
So we're the
doing
Cinderellas,
good work,
yeah.
and then there's people doing the Lord's work.
Honestly.
Cleaners do.
But you got to find the one that does
Lord's
the
work.
Lord's work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
Yeah.
you can't
Not
let
that
everyone in
he
your
carry on.
space.
Yeah, but yeah, just even things like that, reframing my mind, like I can rest and let someone else do this thing, and not think, even if the task is small, it's okay, let them do it, you know. So yeah, and I think that's why I feel very I feel like I'm still figuring that out, because the perfect picture that I built in terms of my mind, that was going to be I'm not that person, and is one step at a time, but it definitely starts with what you come to realize has been important to you.
Yeah. I don't know if I heard it here. We were talking about china plates. I don't know if it was on the podcast.
Yeah, I was talking
it
about
you?
that. Yeah.
You have like china plates and plastic plates. Like, we're all trying to spin plates, but which are the china plates in this season and which are the plastic plates that you can just drop? And so I really liked that analogy which you shared a really long time ago, and it's just always been in my mind. In this
really
season,
good
what are the
analogy.
china plates I can't drop, and which are the plastic plates do I just need to dash? Basically.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wanted to. Sorry, I know that time is fast spent. You mentioned about not being everything to, like, you can't be everything to one person, and I was like really taken aback by that. Not in a bad way, like, oh, a really great realization, because I think that's just really hard to comprehend. Like, of course, but it's like in practice, you're like, but if I'm the only one for them, how can I not be anyway? So yeah, I found that I'm just taking that in, and I'm just like, oh, it's freeing, but it's also really hard to comprehend. If I, as a mother, like, I'm not even a mother, and I'm just thinking, so how do I let go of knowing that I can't have my hands in control of everything? Yeah, like what that looks like. And yeah, I had another question, but that's even just the first one. Like, how did you?
Do you know what I think? I think this is going to sound really weird, but I remember when I was pregnant, I couldn't tell you that I had something to do with that baby going from month 1 to month 9. I had nothing to do with it. I was just the person that was carrying that child. There's some, especially when we speak about loss and things like that. There are some mums who do everything right. You eat right, you rest, you but you still experience loss. Do you understand? I had nothing to do with the survival of that child from month 1 to finding out to month 9. And then when you go back to your spirituality and your faith, that was all God. So I think it's even obnoxious to think you can be everything to everyone. I had nothing to do with that child's initial existence. So how I think that I can now have everything to do with that child's existence now that the child is here, I think is such an obnoxious mentality. I know I'm not capable. I can't. Why? I don't have eyes at the back of my head. I don't have 10 arms. I can't be everything to you. And I think there is something also beautiful in allowing them to grow up, knowing that I'm going to give you the best of everything that I have, but I'm not everything that you have. And you have me, you have your dad, you have your aunties, I have so much boldness because I know I'm coming from a big community of people. You can't tell me nothing. If you don't want to be my friend, that's fine. This is my friend, that's my cousin. Do you understand? Like, and I want them to grow up with that mentality that they don't need just one singular person. I think there is something so restrictive about that. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I don't want to be the best mum that I can be, but I think even I did a talk last week about the importance of rest, and I gave the analogy that the lion, being the most prominent animal in the jungle, rests for 21 hours a day so that it can conserve its energy to go back and really do what it needs to do. So this prominent, big, bad, bold animal is spending the majority of the day asleep. And I think when you understand the notion of that, and when you understand that even in the midst of creation, God still found time to rest or to acknowledge that on the 7th day he rested. He didn't have to tell you. He could have been like, okay, and I was done. But he found it of importance to acknowledge that in the midst of creation, then I rested. It tells you how important being able to sit back and take time to just reset, to reanalyze, to just rest is. And I think when you're looking at your motherhood journey and you're looking at even being a wife and you're looking at being all these things to all these people, there is an importance in you taking time to just sit back and allow yourself to be renewed, allow yourself to charge up, allow yourself to, or pour back into yourself. I always say that you're not meant to be pouring from a half empty cup. You're actually meant to be pouring from your overflow. Your cup should never go empty, or your cup should never go down in order for you to pour into other people. You should be enjoying from my excess, not from what I have within me. And I think when I'm looking at my babies, they get the best version of me when I'm charged up, when I'm rested, when I'm pouring myself into my ambition and the things that really fuel me. Those boys enjoy me when I'm like, mommy's going to speak somewhere, I'm getting paid, and I'm doing what I love. I come back home and I'm like, guys, guess what? I'm the best version of myself, and that is a version of myself that I wish for them to experience. I think when we look at our parents, perhaps they didn't have the privilege of being the absolute best version of themselves, and so that therefore they were a little bit more with us, but. Now, oh my God, they're going to get the best version of me. And sometimes that means me taking time away from them to go and do that. So, yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Preacher sis.
Something that we say after everything.
She said, is that something?
I love when you want to say something, but it's like you do small commentary. Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, oh, is that what we say? Preacher sis.
I'm screaming. Yeah, no, that was really beautiful, and yeah, it really reminds me of the power, what is within us, and just like we're just so capable. Yet God rested. doesn't mean that we're limited. It just means that within that rest we can even activate even so much more of what's already within us. And I would really love for all of us to really speak to or give a word of encouragement to somebody who is a mum, or who is an expectant mum, or somebody who doesn't want to be a mum. Sorry. It's true. Or
but you can be a mother in different capacities.
Yeah.
Lots of different
Yeah,
people.
exactly. I think it would be really nice for us to all give, in honor of Mother's Day, to give a word of encouragement to mothers in their respective rights. Aunties, single mums, mothers of 2, maybe 3 coming up. Mothers of 1, maybe 2 coming up. Mothers of plenty. I feel like I can see you being mother of
the
many.
fact that you moved it.
You looked at
mother of
You're
many.
looking at me, I'm looking at you.
triplets. Who knows? Sorry, I'm babbling, but I will start with you
Advice I would give to
because you're an
somebody.
auntie as well. Aren't you?
I am. My advice to women would be, for me, I think it's important to pour in to those into children. So I guess it would just be like, show up. If you don't want to be a mother, if you're an auntie, like, show up as an auntie should do. If you are a teacher, for example, and you have to look after many kids, like, show up as you're supposed to be, and pour love into that. We have so much love to give as women. It doesn't have to be just to our children that we have biologically, but as women we have an abundance of love. That we were created to love abundantly, even humans, but women within us, like, Ros, you were saying, I'm not really maternal.
I am maternal now, though.
Right, exactly.
I can relate to you though on that.
I think you say that, but then I've also seen you with children, and
She's, like,
beautiful.
the best auntie
It's
in the world.
beautiful. Do you know what I mean? So as women, we have so much love to give, and I would say just show up as, if the role is auntie, show up as auntie. If the role is sister, show up as sister, and pour that love. Like, honestly, people will cherish it. They will remember it forever. So yeah, pour the love, show up and pour the love.
Love that.
And what I will say is, you're amazing. I know that you can relate to what I was saying, but that part was then, and we're tapping into our maternal, and I love that Ruth just got right in there and said, you're amazing. You're amazing auntie, and you're amazing auntie as well to Naz, and I'm just so grateful to have you in our lives. But yeah, I would say, whether you're a mum, whether you're an auntie, whether you're grandmother, like, if you're a mum, that you're trusting God for your child to come, whatever capacity you're in, I just want to say that you're a blessing. You're a blessing to so many people. You're a blessing to your child. You're a blessing to your niece and nephews, the children in your lives that you make yourself available for. Sometimes you have to make sacrifices for those little humans, or the little humans to come, or even the big adults that we are, that we're little humans to others. And you will always be rewarded for that sacrifice. And I'm just grateful for every mother in the capacity that they're in, because I feel that seeing different versions of different mums have encouraged me to be the mother I am now. Be it being there for my friends' kids, be it being being an auntie to my niece and nephew, be it encouraging women that are not able to have their kids right now. And yeah, we're a blessing in any capacity we're in. And thank God for you.
Happy Soya.
My word of encouragement would be, I'm really trying to figure out what it would be, but I think it would be to just enjoy your kids, or just being with them and just seeing them develop into themselves. I think I've seen it with Naz, with Nathaniel, with Nicola, and it's just so beautiful. Like, they have their own personalities, they have their own way of loving on you, and I think with the busyness and the just stress with life, like you can try and put them in a cage, in a bubble, and say like, oh, this is how I can manage, and then you prevent them from being themselves and like letting them just be free. But it's so beautiful when you obviously, you know, you don't want them to be saying, I hate you and F you, and we're not calling for that level of freedom, but it's it's so, God forbid, but it's just so beautiful. Just let them be and enjoy them. That's what I would say.
Okay. Well, as a soft and wellness coach, I will always advocate for one's well-being first and foremost. I think women are such instrumental cornerstones of society that in whatever capacity you fall in, mum, auntie, someone who doesn't even like kids, whatever you are, I think it's important. Even when you look at the Bible, like there's a reason the snake went to Eve, not Adam. When you look at the Bible, there's a reason that the angel came to Mary, not Joseph. Because women are so instrumental in society. And I think being able to pour back into yourself as a woman is something that it is you doing your due service, to not show up exhausted, to not show up tired and burnt out and not in your full capacity, not in your full power. So I would just encourage you as a mother, as an auntie, as someone who's just observing from the sidelines and waiting for God to meet you where you're at. Also take this time to pour into yourself, to relearn yourself, to love on the person that God has created you to be, and to allow room for other people to be able to love on you as well. I know that with Mother's Day, so many celebrations will be going on, but even just taking the time to not only just receive your flowers, but even sit in it and be like, I'm doing a good job. You know, I think is instrumental. And even if somebody isn't giving you flowers, still sitting back and being like, you know, I impact my community, I impact my society every single day simply because I exist. How can I do that in the most positive, most beautiful way? I think, that is my take.
Thank you. Wow, I love that. You see, multifaceted women, we all have something to say. And thank you so much, Ruth, for coming on today. It's been a blessing. You've said so much amazing things, and I think for myself, the community, is everything okay? Okay. I think for myself, the part about community was just, it just holds so true. And there's just so many takeaways, but you're going to see them in the social media clips. But it was truly an honor to have you here.
Honor to be here.
On
Thank
Mother's
you so
Day.
much.
And
for having me.
And happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Yes. Happy Mother's Day to all. What can I do this?
Of course you
where
can.
Where can we find you?
Well, sorry.
And also, any exclusive?
Any exclusive?
Exclusive.
It's coming out on Mother's Day. so you
make
know
sure
when...
that the exclusives are after. But
Yes, please.
End of the month.
End of the month, yeah.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram, TikTok at Ruth.pokes. I think that's my handle. I think that's my handle everywhere. I hope it is. I have a community called R40 Wellness Collective. Essentially, it's a community that's been built on helping people better understand their well-being, their wellness journey, particularly Black women, because I think that's something that is underserved in our community. We'll be having an event in April. So information will be out about that. That really is it for me. Just follow me for all the good stuff.
Do you have like an e-book?
Oh, the ebook. Oh yeah, that's coming out later on in the year.
But also you have the workshop.
Oh, the masterclass.
Are you still doing that?
I am.
Please.
Okay, again, that would be. I just don't have dates.
Just at least say it's coming.
Right. Okay. So I have a workshop and a masterclass coming at some point in the year. But if you follow me on all my socials, you'll have all the information about it, and we can just continue to be well together.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for joining us and our beautiful guest Ruth on our latest episode, our Mother's Day episode. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social platforms at Preach It Sis. And also don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to our channel.
That's something.
Sorry, you did the whisper again and I didn't catch it, but
Bye.
Bye.